This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by the Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
For a limited time at McDonald's, get a Big Mac Extra Value Meal for $8. That means 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun, and medium fries, and a drink. We may need to change that jingle.
Prices and participation may vary.
We have had just a single weekend off, but now the season is very firmly upon us. I'm hearing rumours that Leinster are going for a double. I'm not Caolan. This is the Interpro Show. Let's make a start. Welcome to the Interpro Show. Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Interpro Show. For those of you who are particularly quick, I'm not Caolan. Caolan is away doing traitors things. Am I right, gents? Is Caolan doing traitors things?
Yeah, he's working.
He's wearing a Connaught kit in Limerick right now as we speak.
I knew I sensed a disturbance somewhere.
So if you see us all on our phones halfway through, it's because we're sending abuse to Caolan while he's in the middle of recording something to do with the traitors. So welcome to the Interpro Show, your home for all things professional and amateur Irish rugby, men and women, etc., etc. So Caolan has sent me notes, right? Caolan has sent me notes, and every third or fourth line it goes, I'm Caolan Scott, I'm not Caolan Scott, and I'm just reading the notes. So I keep stopping myself and going, I'm not Caolan. I'm Lee G. I'm sitting in for tonight. But joining me as always is Adam, Ben, and David. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Good evening, Lee.
So you guys are pretty much like well up on the traitors thing now, aren't you? It's taken Ireland by storm or something.
Yes,
the finale is tonight. Yeah, it's a big deal.
No.
Right.
I haven't had any access to it because I live in England, so I feel like sort of forgotten.
Have they geo-blocked the traitors? Fully?
It's one of those that I can imagine that BBC are going to pick up on because they pick up on all the other traitors. So like we've got like New Zealand, American, just all on the iPlayer. So I presume it's just going to appear.
Yeah. I'm going to say something controversial. I don't get it. I watched the first 2 or 3 episodes. I went, I don't get it. And I haven't watched it since. So shoot me.
I thought it would be awful. And now I'm a little bit obsessed.
I'm the exact same. I talked so much crap before this was on, and then I sat down and watched one episode, and I was 20 minutes in, I was spouting theories. And the friend who showed it to me was like, we've got him. He's in. And
That's the thing. What was it? It was the second series, and there was a woman from the north of Ireland, and her son was English, but no one knew that they were mother and son up until the last minute when he had to kill her, and I was just like, this is just liquid television.
Oh, we did that. Spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen Irish Traders yet, but there's a parent and son in it, from Limerick, and it was excellent.
They tried to get away with it with twins in the last UK one, and they were just like, we're gonna have to say it straight away, we're twins, and it was like, yeah, they're identical.
The son almost ruined it in the Irish ones. In the very first task he calls him daddy, but no one hears it.
No one heard it.
Oh, right. See, yeah, I still don't get it. But anyway, let's do some rugby stuff before we turn into Caolan and his journey to Traitorville. So yeah, any news, any rugby news of any relevance that anybody wants to share with me this week? Because Caolan's just put ask for news. So any news? I'm going to
The
take that as
AIL
a
is back
no.
this weekend. It's not necessarily news, but if anyone is looking, if you're looking, the URC is back. The AIL is also back. Find your local AIL team on the cookies and go and watch that this weekend. If your team happen to be in South Africa or Tenetli, go and find your AIL team. Have a lovely time.
Or in Belfast, you know.
Oh, so
Some people will rather go to AIL than go to Ravenhill, won't they?
At the minute, I think we're having about 33 people show up to Ravenhill. The 33 people liked the fact that we were playing this week, so I was like, oh, social media numbers are down, boys.
well,
Yeah.
the URC have put all the figures out for last season, I mean, it's like 53 million views or something like that through the season on TV.
It was
Um,
mental for the first time. I think the final was the most watched game, which was excellent.
yes.
Rather than just like a Springbok derby or an Irish derby, that it was actually the main event people tuned in for. Just superb.
Yeah.
Mm. And I can't see it shrinking. I can't see it shrinking because
No.
I'm actually going to have to pay for a bloody subscription this year. It's disgusting, if you ask me. Right, let's move on to Leinster then. So, David, all yours, my friend. Talk us through Leinster and what we can expect this year.
What can we expect from Leinster this year? That's $1 million question. I'm hoping we can expect a lot of good things from Leinster this year. It's a discussion I've had with a number of friends over the last few weeks. You know, there's always a lot of pressure on Leinster coming into any season, as there should be. Probably one of the best funded teams in the league. Extremely healthy depth chart, which we'll get into on the show, and high aspirations based on past successes. This new season, I think, matches the. Thank you, Ben. And Adam. This new season marks a shift. I think it was just last season that Keane Healy retired. So I think there's now nobody left in the squad who was there when Leinster won their first
Oh,
Champions Cup. I think Sexton and Healy were the last two who were there in 2009. So this is now a squad who doesn't have to, I would hope, carry that quite as much. Obviously, there were lads who were there in 2018, but um, I think this is an increasingly young squad. We've got a lot coming through the academy, who we can also talk about in the depth chart. So now that they've gone out there and won the URC in the last season, I think it'd be great to see them drive on and build on that success. Make it the kind of what we were saying about the Ulster squad as well. Make it the Leinster team of the 2020s and less the Leinster team who wish they were still in the aughts or in the early tens. So yeah, no, I think it could be an exciting year. It's good to see that we have continuity of the coaching staff. So Jack Nienaber, Tyler Blandal, and Robin McBride have all signed on again for I think up until 2027.
yeah.
Leo Cullen was already on an extended contract, so we'll have the same coaching staff again, hopefully for the next two seasons. And yeah, it'd be really interesting to see what kind of continuity we can build out of that. I think there was a lot of concern when Nina Bar came in that there would be a change to Leinster's style. Stuart Lancaster, now of Connacht, has always had us playing a very aggressive style of rugby and attacking rugby. Nina Bar is kind of famed for his more defensive style. But whether or not you think it comes across in how it looks to play, Leinster's score tally in the URC has been the same the last two seasons. The only difference is that the number of points conceded has gone down severely. So that's probably a nod to that Nina Bar defense. And at the end of the day, I think it would usually be said that defense is what wins trophies. And if we can continue to build on that, I think that could be great. And yeah, no, I'm looking forward to seeing what we can get out of Some of the new guys joining us this year, Rico Ioane will be up in December. Not always the most popular man in Ireland, not always the most popular man in Leinster. But look, he is a phenomenal player. His recent form notwithstanding, I think he's an 83 cap All Black, which is not an easy thing to do. So it'll be really interesting to see what he can bring to Leinster's backline. If he can give us a bit of flair back there, it could be a really exciting second half to the season.
So, does it ever get boring watching Leinster? Like, knowing that you're going to win? Because for the rest of us,
Um,
we sit down to watch a game on a Saturday and we'll go, okay, this is 50-50. There's a chance we might, there's a chance we might not. Whereas anything below 90 and you're getting scared. Does it get boring?
it's different. I'm not pretending it isn't. It is different. I think it's more that when you don't win, you feel more aggrieved. Not because you deserve to, but because you feel like you can. So, I think that's the unfortunate side of. I'm not going to pretend we're not a very competent team. Clearly are a very capable team. But the downside of that is that when you don't perform and you do lose, you feel it's because of mistakes you made. And that's always pretty frustrating just because you feel like you probably could have won it if you'd done everything right. So it's hard not to completely blame yourself when things go wrong. Yeah, I know it does. It can be. It's definitely a different experience. Like I try to go as many Ireland games as I can, and obviously Ireland are a pretty good team too. But like watching, Ireland against South Africa or New Zealand or watching, um any of the like great tussles between like anytime Munster go on the road in Europe, I'm not going to pretend that those games are not infinitely more exciting than watching Leinster turn zebra inside out. But I don't know, it's a different kind of yeah, it can be just a different kind of experience. It's I won't pretend that I don't enjoy it though. It never gets old. If anything, it's just like I'm bored, lads. Could you score a few more tries?
And like, I would
But
think any of us would probably
Nah,
trade being
I,
Leinster
Yeah, exactly.
teamed
I'm not
for
going to pretend I'm
anything
like, oh, it's so
else.
it's so terrible winning all the time. Oh God, I wish it was closer sometimes. Fuck no, I love the other thing as well is because people go, oh, it's not sad to win all the time. So I don't know if you've seen the trophy cabinet, but we don't win all the time. So once again, like win all the games you want to in November. If you're not winning them in May and June, it doesn't really matter. Like
yeah.
it all kind of turns to ashes in your mouth at the end. So, that's what made last year, a few months ago in Croke Park, all the sweeter because it had been even domestically, it had been a while. So, yeah, look, it's great to win games, but if you're not winning trophies, it all really amounts to put.
Yeah.
As we know, if you're not a Leinster supporter. So, right. So, talk to me about the depth chart then. Has Caolan actually made one up? Has he actually
Yeah, yeah.
created one?
Yes,
He
he has.
has,
I'll see
Yes.
if
yeah,
I can. I'll
actually.
see if I can share it.
Do you want to share it, Adam? Yeah. So this is the Leinster depth chart for this season. There's quite a lot of red in there, I don't know if you've noticed, which is good because it means we have a lot of Lions players. The
Is
downside of
there a
that is that we're
non-international in your starting 15? No.
There's
not
none. No.
anymore. Not since Tommy O'Brien got capped over the summer.
Oh, never mind. Okay.
There's
Yeah.
there's more non-international like
There's on.
non-Irish international players in the second team than there is in many first teams.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
wild.
We only have two non-international players in our second 15 as well. We'll have to work on that. No, yeah. So this is the Leinster depth chart for the season. Obviously looks quite good at a glance, but yeah, we'll go into it in a little bit more detail. So most of the Leinster starting 15 were called up to the Lions squad, which is great as a kind of a mark of how well they've done. But it does mean that they won't be available for a lot of the first half of the season. I don't think we're really expecting to see much of the Lions players before the Munster game in Croke Park. Obviously, then number eight, Captain Caolan Doris, not in red there because he missed the Lions tour through injury. He's going to still be out with that injury. I think Leinster put out an injury update there that they said he'll be rehabbing that for at least the first few rounds of the championship, but I don't think he's really expected to be seen back before the autumn internationals realistically. Also in the injury charts, we have Joe McCarthy. He got a foot injury, I think it was, foot or ankle, and requiring surgery. So he'll be missing for the first few rounds as well. And then Hugo Keenan at 15, post Lions tour, had to go for hip surgery, I
Yeah.
think it was, and he's expected to be out probably until the new year. Absent that, the injury lists are not looking too bad. Will Connors, Brian Deeney, Jordan Larmour, and Robbie Henshaw have all recovered from injuries they had in the season run-in, so they're all available. And I think we're clear other than that. We also have called up from the AIL, and I always think it's worth noting. It's been something that Leinster have done over the last few seasons, and it's good to see. Jerry, I want to say Cahir,
Chris
here
Gallagher.
has been called up from. He's a Ross Cray man. I am reading this off screen. Cistercian College. And he's a Lansdowne and Dublin University, so that's Trinity. Player in the AIL. So he was involved with Leinster A last season. Now he's been called up on a short-term senior contract to the main squad. So that's great to see. Obviously, you always want depth in your front row, but to see that we're going for AILs when we need that kind of depth is good to be using that resource. Kind of similar to the way we called up Ivan Soroka last season, and he got to go on the South Africa tour, which was pretty cool for him as well. So behind the Lions, then we have plenty of Ireland internationals in that second team. So it'll be for the first few rounds of the season. It'll be really interesting to see how that team goes because we're probably looking at a team of quite young players across it. From that front row of Jack Boyle, Gus McCarthy, Tom Clarkson. Tom Clarkson and Jamie Osborne both in Lions right there, but because of their limited involvement, I think they will be available from the start. But if you have a front row of Jack Boyle, Gus McCarthy, Tom Clarkson to start the season, it's a good team. It's a good front row to have to start. They're all Ireland internationals as well, but they are quite young. They are quite green, and if they are your starting players, that means you're backed up by Paddy McCarthy, John McKee, Niall Smith. It is going to be it's a stronger squad than Leinster have sent to South Africa in the past, but still not a full strength squad. So it'll be very interesting to see how they go at the start of the season. Um, the second row, I think, will be a very interesting one for Leinster with Joe McCarthy's injury. James Ryan still on rest leave with the due to the Lions, and Orhys Snyman still being with South Africa in the rugby championship. So I think Dermot Mangan and Brian Deeney, who got a fair amount of game time last season, could end up again playing quite a bit of rugby this season. I think it'll be very interesting to see if Alan Spicer, who I think missed out the under 20s last year due to injury, to see how involved he might end up being. But I think that those two lads, Deeney and Mangan, could end up, particularly in the first half of the season, doing a lot of heavy lifting. And then the likes of Corrigan, Mahan Ronan, who played in the preseason game against Cardiff there. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how we handle the absence of the frontliners in the second row. Back row, traditionally kind of a source of strength for Leinster. Ryan Baird, I think, will be looking to build on what was pretty good form at the end of last season, particularly with the retirement of Peter O'Mahony. The fight for that sixth jersey is going to be really heating up. You've got Baird obviously there. You could even have the likes of Timoney, depending on who switches over up in Ulster. Connacht have a wealth of choices. Munster have the very tall lad whose name I've completely forgotten now. Ben, help me. The
Ahern.
Ahern, Tom Hearn,
Ahern.
who's also if anything, up until recently would have been ahead of Baird. So it could be a really interesting fight there, but I would back Baird to try and push the
On
effort because
current form, you'd say
he has, but he's
Baird
shown
should
a lot of
probably
promise in the
even go for
past,
him.
and then not been able to maintain the consistency. So it'll be really on him to kind of try and maintain that going forward. Particularly even looking for the Leinster starting team. Caolan has Jack Conan listed at six there. Typically, Conan's been deployed off the bench, so you'd expect Baird to probably go in there as a starter
If
as
we
well.
assume
So
Baird is going to play this weekend, I assume he will,
yeah,
that he'll start on Saturday. It's a huge chance for him going up against what is like it's not the first round Stormers pack because the Rough Championship is on, but very
yeah.
close to it.
That's something worth noting
Big
as well. Like going
chance.
up against both the Stormers and the Bulls, those are tough games in Cape Town and Pretoria, but both teams will also be missing their frontliners who are still with the Rugby Championship. So it might end up being two quite evenly balanced teams in both of those games. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Josh van der Fleer, I'm not sure how quickly he might be back, considering he wasn't involved in the tests. But he was a full line squad member, so he may still get the rest from that. So that leaves Will Connors and Scott Penny, um, both of whom I think, Penny obviously being younger than Connors, but both of whom I think have shown enough promise to probably want to feel like they're going to start delivering on it soon. It's probably a little bit of a shit or get off the pot situation, particularly for Will Connors. Now he's had his troubles with injuries over the last few seasons, so it was good to see him recover from that. But he'll need a solid injury-free run of form if he wants to really start challenging for starting slots again. And then at 8, Max Deegan, who kind of took over the Reece Rullick role last season, but it is still more than capable player. In a push could definitely make Ireland squads again. He'll look to be, particularly in the absence of Doris. He'll look to kind of step up in that realm. James Conhan showed a lot of promise last season, still very young. He'll be wanting to show a lot of promise there. At scrum half, Luke McGrath, the ever indefatigable Luke McGrath, still there. He'll be up vying with Fintan Gunn. It'd be really interesting to see Gunn kind of pass out Cormac Foley, who'd been promising at Leinster for a few seasons, but Gunn seems to have gotten the edge on him. He played very well in the final last year, got the finals try. So I think it'll be a year for him to try and push forward, particularly given McGrath's age, and Gibson Park as well, obviously as the starter, but also not a young man either. So like, if Gibson Park makes the next World Cup, he will be quite an old scrum half when he does make it. So I think there's a lot of scope for the likes of Gunn and Foley to try and push on there. Obviously at Ireland level, Craig Casey is very clearly the number 2, pushing for number 1. But you always want at least 2 scrum halves in the squad, so there's space there for those lads to push on. At 10 is a weird position for Leinster because on one hand it's a lot of depth, but it feels like it feels quite broad and quite shallow. So
It's
Sam
almost a
Prendergast,
Sam plus, isn't it? At this
It
point at
is.
10, like it's Sam,
it
and
is,
then
it is, it definitely is, but at the same time, the end of last season, Sam Prendergast's form wasn't great. Even in Leinster's winning the URC, that
Mhm.
was probably a good game for him in the final, but overall at the end of the season, he wasn't showing as much form, even as Crowley in a losing team was. So, is he still the starter for Ireland now? Probably, but it's the distance between them was always narrow, but I think it's very narrow now, and it'll balance more on how the start of the season goes for him. He had obvious deficiencies at the end of last season. The tackling is one that people make a big deal of because it's an easy punchline, but his kicking at goal was also quite poor. There were games that Leinster
Mhm.
won by large score margins, and he missed like half of his conversions. That's really not an acceptable thing in an
like if
international
we
10.
can't overly, as much as I like to do it, you can't overly criticize Prendergast's goal kicking from a Munster POV
No,
when
you can't,
Crowley
but
behind him also
from an
isn't.
From an
Yeah.
From an
Ireland
Ireland
test,
point of view, yeah,
you definitely can. You
neither of
need
them
your
are. I think we need another option. If we're saying that,
If
yeah.
if
oh
only
no,
there was a goal kicking number 9 up north who's ready to take on that mantle.
Yeah.
if only.
We've
He's
hit our ginger
tall, he's
capacity.
ginger, and his name is Nathan Doak.
If only we didn't have one that's just gone to France as well.
Yeah, who's currently tearing it up in the Pro D2.
But isn't
Um,
isn't Prendergast like still really, really young? Isn't
Yeah,
he
he's like
ridiculously
23. I think
young?
he's
Yeah.
23, I want to say. Yeah. That's
And this
all
is
these lads
his
are young. Like even like Crowley's only what 25, 26. Like there are a lot of these lads who I think have been around for long enough that it feels like they've Scott Penny is another one who I was saying he needs to show us, but even he's only about 25. Like
I
there's a
was
lot of lads
surprised he hasn't been capped. I was like, I
there's a lot
keep
of lads who I think broke out quite early, and so it feels like they should be further along than they are, even though they're all still
yeah.
quite young. So there's plenty of time for all these lads to still go. Kieran Frawley is still the right side of 30 as well. He'll want to press his case at 10 at Leinster, even though he seems to have fallen back into the kind of the utility role. He came on at 12 in the preseason fixture. He's played at 15 with Hugo Keenan out for the season. He could end up playing there more, depending on where they want to send Jamie Osborne. Harry Byrne now back as well from what seemed like a pretty successful stint at Bristol. His confidence should be up. He should be trying to push for it. He's also still quite young. And then obviously Casper Gabriel, I'm not sure if he's IQ yet, but he's on his way to being IQ. And yeah, he seems big and rangy. I haven't really seen enough of him play to really make comment on what he'll show. But it's always good to have young tens coming through there. In the back line, then like we have obviously the the Ireland backline primarily: Lowe, Henshaw, Ringrose, Keenan. Keenan out until the new year, so injuries there. Henshaw and Lowe, you would like to see kind of continue on their form, but both now on the other side of 30. Ringrose only, I think, 31, but Henshaw's same as me, so he's 32, going on 33. Kind of showed a dip in form at the end of last season, cost him a spot on the Lions tour, starting to cost him his Ireland shirt. So he's not looking the way he used to look. James Lowe, I think, is 33 as well, which obviously for a winger, he was never a fast winger. He's more of a power winger, so he can keep going longer. But you know, he is getting on in years. And then Jamie Osborne, once again, kind of filling that utility role. Played a lot of 12, played a bit of 13. He's played on the wing. He's played at fullback. It'll be interesting to see in this season if he nails down a shirt, particularly if he wants to push for more Ireland selection. He probably wants to nail down a shirt. And then I think what's going to be an interesting battle is between the aforementioned Rico Ioane, who's been brought in that sort of Geordie Barrett role, even though he's not quite as flexible as Barrett. Barrett can kind of play across the entire back line. Ioane's kind of firmly a 13 or a winger. Personally, I'd have him on the wing because I think he's faster and that's where he does his most damage. But at the end of last season, Tommy O'Brien was on flying form. So I don't know that you could drop O'Brien out of that team straight away to put Ioane in. So it'll be really interesting to see who comes out on top between those two. Jordan Larmour still there. Henry McErleen, I thought is the most promising of the young Leinster backlines coming through. Really like to see him get a bit more game time at 15. Hugh Cooney, fresh off his call up to Ireland in the was it last with the Six Nations,
Yeah.
much to everyone's delight. Be interested to see how he goes. Himself and Charlie Tector, I thought paired very well in that loss against Cardiff in the preseason matches. Tector himself came in as a 10, now kind of playing more 12 and 13. So it'd be interesting to see where he pushes on. And then Andrew Osborne, Jamie's younger again brother, who played a lot at 11 for Leinster last year. It'd be interesting to see if he can push on too. He seemed kind of decent, but not shooting the lights out. So it'd be interesting to see how he fits in there. And then didn't even mention, but Jimmy O'Brien, um, he's someone who's going to be obviously plenty of Ireland caps already, can play across the whole back line. It'll be interesting to see where he ends up being deployed. So there's a lot of depth in Leinster, but there's also, I think, there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of movement between international duty and injuries. I think it'll be, and it's kind of a thing of Leinster's over the course of seasons. They have a very big squad, but when you look at the what you would quote the starting 15, it might only be outside of Europe 4 games a season that team ever actually plays together. So it'll be interesting to see how Leinster builds consistency over the season, considering what I think could be quite a fractured and malleable first 15 and then 23. But all the pieces are there. The loss of Jordy Barrett is annoying because of how well he fit in last year, but it's definitely not an excuse to see any dip in quality. And with that squad, particularly when the Lions come back around November, there's really no excuse for Leinster not to be at the top of every table they find themselves in.
So your Lions players come back after the autumn tests, don't they?
I don't think it's a hard one, but I know they've just started preseason I know the Connacht Lions started preseason, I think just at the end of last week. I imagine the Leinster ones are around the same, so they got most of the summer off. And I don't think the plan is to deploy them until at least round 4 of the URC.
I
But
think, in Crow Park is Munster looking at Ty Byrne for Crow Park to be his game back, so I would assume Leinster are the same.
Yeah.
So just before autumn, but like the very last point before the autumn internationals, November
You
internationals.
probably don't want Soldiers Field to be the first time those lads play rugby since the Lions tour. So I'd imagine even from an Ireland perspective, they'll be asking them to give them a run out before that.
Like,
I'm just
David,
looking at
really,
it from a Welsh point of view and going, when's the best time to play Leinster? 2 weeks ago was the best time to play Leinster. It's shocking. As an outsider looking in, to have that much depth, that much quality, and that much depth is, yeah, it's a little bit scary to look at it and go, where's the weak bit in there? Where do you attack that?
Yeah, it definitely can be, but I think one of the things I thought, and I was thinking about it recently watching the Rugby Championship, people do lots of depth charts on South Africa. You could build almost 4 test quality teams out of the players that South Africa have lined up. Like they can go so deep in every position, it's kind of scary. But at the end of the day, there's only ever 15 players on the pitch. So you just really need to figure out how to beat the best 15 of them. And I know that might sound like much straightforward, but like depth is great and it's fantastic when injuries abound. But at the end of the day, your best 15 still have to be better than everyone else's best 15, and it's only ever going to be those 15 on the pitch. So, um, I think it's the trick is to just take it game by game. Figure out don't worry about how you're going to win the figure out how you're going to beat them today, because today is all that
Yeah.
matters. And Cardiff, did it in the preseason. Northampton did it in the semi-final last year. Like the blueprint on how to do it exists. It's just a
Mhm.
matter of how teams choose to go about it on the day.
I think
Hmm.
with
Also,
Lens
Leinster are
the
really bad at chasing games. That'd be my advice. They're
yeah
very bad at chasing games. If you can get
yeah
ahead of them, it's not a position that we're used to being in. So if you can get even your nose in front, we get spooked.
I
See, I like that as a game plan. The way to beat Leinster is to get in front
Score
of
more
them.
points.
yeah
Yeah, score more points.
Score more
score
points
tries.
than them.
Try
They
to
don't
have more
like it.
points at 80 minutes. That's usually what gets you across the line. This is why they have me on
I
these shows. My expertise.
I was gonna say it's really annoying on all the other province route when you say like, oh, I've got a really class like player like Jamie Osborne and be like, oh, he's got a younger brother as well. You've got loads of players that are like, oh, he's got a twin brother. He's got some other brother. There's another brother there, and you've got the Carneys, you've got the O'Briens, you've got the Osbornes. It's sort of just like a constant like battle almost.
But even you're
Yeah,
like,
even our
where is
young
the
props,
hole?
Paddy
Like,
McCarthy, Jack Boyle are two young props. They're not even the young members of their family. There's two more coming up behind them. So yeah, no, it
That's
does keep rolling.
terrifying.
we either look and we're like, where's the hole in the team? Like, fine, there's a gap behind James Ryan, but Dermot Mangan is still excellent. If McCarthy and Snyman are both out, Brian Deeney has proven himself again that he can
Yeah.
compete at URC level very well. We look at the other three provinces and we're kind of like, there is a drop off after line two. Like, there
Yeah.
is. Leinster, you're kind of like, Spores Academy, but even then, most of those academy lads, Spicer, Deegan, Mangan, Maloney, have all under 20s and all looked excellent at that level. Casper Gabriel's already being hailed as the next great Irish 10, and he hasn't
Oh yeah.
played a game of pro rugby yet. It's insane the level of depth you
I,
have.
your three tight heads in the first three columns are two Lions and a French international. That's wild. It's just wild. Like
Or we're just like, oh, Michael Millen was excellent. Thanks, Leinster. I'm glad he was surplus to requirement. Actively Munster's best scrummaging prop.
On a serious note, is it that good to have that many quality players in the same place? Do you know what I mean?
no. Well,
Is it?
The other provinces have benefit in that, like Munster, to speak from Munster PV, we've got Milne and Lee Barron last season who were genuinely excellent. And like if the Leinster Academy, as good as it is, and again, there's depth and depth and depth, and 80% of it has come through the Leinster system.
Yeah.
If we're getting to the point, it seems like we are under Humphreys, where players are happy to see what the other three provinces are like, it is better for Irish rugby in general.
Yeah.
Um, and like we say, logjam is fine, but it's from a Leinster POV. I'm sure David will agree. It's not exactly a bad problem to have
Oh,
to
Yeah.
be able to say Furlong drops out, Clarkson comes in.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a thing of, I think the trick is to get them to move early.
Yeah.
You don't want to wait
Well,
until a player's 28 and feels like their Leinster career is over, and that's why they're moving. Like from the player's point of view and from the province they're going to's point of view, you want to get them when you can still get everything out of them.
yeah.
Lee Barnes 24, Michael Mills 26. For a prop that's still quite young.
That's perfect.
To get another decade out of him, like he's almost better now than he was 5 years ago. So that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
And we'll gripe
I
about it, and I have griped about it. I've been a Lee Barron fan since I saw him play his first Leinster cap, I think against Chile. Don't quote me on that, but I was there. I was in Donnybrook, and I was watching this guy play, and I was like, he's the next Dan Sheehan. Now, he hasn't got there yet, but he's the same form. He's about the same size. He can run like Sheehan. He's got the positional play. He can pass like him. He's
Excellent.
if anything,
Really
he's the
is.
kind of hooker who the thing he needs to focus on is his hooker specific duties, because other than that, he's a really good player. You could probably put him in the center and be all right. So, Munster getting players like that off Leinster, I can't gripe about it too much when you've got Dan Sheehan, Rona Keller, and Gus McCarthy,
And
in there.
yeah,
And it's for Barron's
yeah.
sake, he doesn't want to be sat fifth or whatever, in a team. He's a better player than that. So, I think the trick is to just get them to move that little bit earlier.
Yeah.
And I think
I,
if they go and they believe that by going they can still earn Ireland honours, that's the real trick.
yeah.
Because I think other than that, that's the only thing keeping them back. We've had players play for other provinces, and even if they still want to live at home and have access to mammy's cooking,
Yeah.
the M7, the M4, they're not long roads. You can do that if you want to. But I think that the trick is just getting them to move early.
Yeah, I think to add on to your point, David, like as an Ulster fan, we've had two we've had like loads of instances with like Nick Timoney, for example, Alan O'Connor. Like those are like Ulster legends in that sense. They've been brilliant. John Cooney as well. He was like a little bit older when he moved, but he was like went to Connacht as well. But then we had for every one of them, we had a Jack McGrath who sort of got injured and was sort of at like should have been at the main part of his career, but was just horrifically unlucky with injury. And we had Geordie Murphy, who was really solid, but then got a bit unlucky with injury as well. I think it's really spot on, David, the way that you say, like, try to get him to move early so that just benefits the whole entire Ireland system. Because what Timoney's got an Ireland cap, a couple of Ireland caps under his belt. He's always in and around the system. Alan O'Connor never really did, but he was Ulster captain for a bit as well. So, yeah, I fully agree.
Yeah,
Like a lot of the issue
Connacht's
that we
Connacht
no, go on.
club captain last season, Keane Prendergast. He's Sam's older brother, but he went and
Yeah.
joined the Connacht Academy. I think it's at the time is that Leinster Academy didn't want him. That guy now he's a captain international and he's a captain of a province. Like that's the core, You get them
Yeah.
when they're young and the player is there to be brought out and
A lot of it is as well though getting players who want to move. Like
yeah.
Yeah.
I know it's been hashed over a lot. Like Munster we've Andrew Conway, who for every import was the best one we've had. He was stunning. He bought into everything Munster had. But then there was the Joey Carberry incident where multiple provinces wanted him. Leinster were happy enough to let him go, begrudgingly, admittedly. But there was a bit of Joey would have stayed at Dublin if he'd had a chance. I think that's kind of accepted around the park at this
Yeah.
point. Belfast and Limerick were both offered. He chose Limerick, was injury stricken, fine. But you want to get players younger as opposed to you want Irish caps. You need to move isn't really going to help any of the provinces. They have to want to go. They have to want to get games. They have to want to go somewhere else. Whereas like you're in Dublin, you're in UCD. Why would you leave at that point?
We've
Well,
got
that's the hard
Sam.
side.
Oh no, we've got a tight head that's came up to us. I've just for his name's left me, but he's young. He's ready to do it. Tight head, Roy Maguire. He's an absolute unit, and he's came to us. Like it's like players like that who I hope to kick on as well,
Yeah.
because in reality, it's only going to help. The Irish setup and Jack Murphy as well. He went. Was he not? Was he Leinster setup at all? Was he
Yeah,
Leinster age
Yeah, he
group?
was.
yeah.
Yeah, but he was what? He was 20 and he basically walked into the Ulster squad. He pipped Jake Flannery, who's former Munster, but that was just through injury. It's going to be interesting to see how they go. But that sort of provinces sharing their wealth is going to only benefit Ireland in the long run.
Yeah. And particularly when the other provinces can get coaches like Clayton McMillan, like Stuart Lancaster,
Lancaster.
so they don't feel like you're leaving Leinster, so
Yeah.
you're not getting the proper. As long as we
Yeah.
can do that and make the other provinces, and it shouldn't just be the name of Ireland; it should be the name of competitive provinces. But as long as players
Yeah.
feel they can go to Galway, they can go to Limerick, they can go to Belfast, and get the same quality of coaching, the same quality of facilities, the same quality of support, then at the end of the
And
day, if they want to be
yeah,
pros, they'll go because they want
we
to be
want test
pros. And at the
opportunities
end of
to
the day,
follow as well. Then
they want to be Leinster. Maybe they want to be Leinster players. They all really want to be Ireland players. And if that's still
Yeah.
there, they'll go for it.
that's the major card that needs to follow. I think we can all agree at that point. There has to be test caps.
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
at the minute, I mean, you can't argue with the sheer depth Leinster have, but we have to start seeing if players are performing. And there was a gripe down here after the URC where Munster fans probably over-expectedly thought we'd have more players brought in following the URC win. We all expected Coombs, Hodnett, Ahern, injuries, played ball fine. But ideally, if people put in performances against teams like Leinster and in Europe, we'll see the cap start to follow.
Like,
Hopefully.
yeah.
Hopefully.
Okay, so is there anything else that we need to discuss around just how awesome Leinster are and how awesome they're going to be for this season? I'm just playing to the crowd here. I'm aware of how sensitive some of the Leinster supporters are on YouTube comments. I don't want to leave any stone where we go. You didn't say this or you didn't say that. So, is there anything else we need to cover, David, before we put that one to bed?
No, I mean, I think, the one key part of our depth chart that is always important because really it's what gets us across the line in a lot of games and the club just wouldn't be the same without him and that's my buddy right up there. We couldn't do it
Yeah.
without Leo and I think that's always important to remember.
Yeah.
Have you got a backup to him, though, if he can't perform one weekend? Is there a little baby way? There must be a brother
I
somewhere.
I
Everyone,
I
it
think
looks like everyone's got three brothers that are coming through, so he must have a brother somewhere.
yeah, I
They
think
tried to get Sparky. He said no.
Last time Sparky from
yeah,
Belfast went to Dublin, things went bad.
I think the
Very
solution
bad.
is just to stuff Casper Gabriel into a lion suit and say if you really want it, you'll get out there. That's about it.
Do you want an Ireland cap? Do you want an Ireland cap?
Do you
Andy's
wanna-
on the phone. Get in that suit.
Right. Okay. So let's put that. If anyone on the YouTube comments has got an issue, let's just remember that David said it's okay to move on. It's okay to just kind of drift past that bit now.
Oh, I don't
Right.
know that I'm popular enough in the comment section to carry that weight, but I'll see what I can do.
Nobody's going to be able to have a go at that Caolan this week, which is going to confuse a lot of people. But there we go.
We're all targets now. We're on hollow turf.
So I'm assuming this is what Caolan means by let's take a look at fixtures. So
Yes.
what's that, boy? Somebody talk through that. That's who's playing. That's
Yeah.
who Leinster are playing through. Yeah, block one
Yes.
goals. I get it now. Yeah, I can get that. I get that. Okay.
Look, I suppose
She's
when you look at Leinster's fixtures, kind of again, David, you can jump in here if you so wish, but it's very much where the loss is going to come, as opposed to with every other province, and we're saying where can Munster, Ulster, and Connacht pick up points. For Leinster, it really is where are you going to drop points in the URC. And like I was joking with the lads earlier. I was looking forward to a nice pasting in Loftus, a nice pasting at the Stormers, and then the Springbok team dropped. And you're kind of like Leinster will presumably target something out of the Stormers, get an LVP out of Loftus, beat the Sharks. We'll skip past that one just for brevity. Probably beat Zebra, beat Dragons, skip past those, tip past those three again, just for brevity's purposes. Skip past the next URC game as well. Beat Edinburgh, beat Cardiff, maybe drop points to Glasgow.
I would only say this as a fan of one of the other provinces. I honestly think it's just when the provinces turn up against Leinster is going to be the issue because it's always sort of like
Yeah.
we put everything into Leinster games as other provinces. We have to be jealous of Leinster. We always put everything into it, no matter what. We always try and get a score in there.
And I joke, but like as a Munster fan, we circled that Christmas game from day one in
Yeah.
the season. It's Leinster coming down to Thomond Park on Christmas, and it has been far too long since we have beat Leinster in Thomond Park. I think pre the Japan World Cup, last time we
Wow.
managed to win, and it was both
That's
full
wild.
strength teams. Johnny Sexton threw hissy fit, and it was excellent.
Yeah, is that the
When Fineen lifted him up, since then it's been Jordan Larmour having masterclasses running into the Bala end multiple times. Like the only URC wise, the only place you'd probably drop points is hopefully in Thomond Park, hopefully in Ravenhill, maybe in Glasgow.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Glasgow can always be Glasgow are a very good team. They could be a banana skin. I know it was always a source of frustration for Andy Friend that Connacht got really up for Interpros and he wanted them to bring it in all games like that. But it is just a factor. Anytime the provinces go up against each other, they always want to make prove a point
Yeah.
or get one up. But yeah, no, I think I wouldn't put it past. I think obviously they got the preseason win and it was a very different Leinster team, but Cardiff away as well, that could be a potential one. Cardiff were a very sticky team even 2 seasons ago.
My worry with that would be it's late enough in the season where like either Cardiff have solidified top eight, hopefully they're still fighting for it, but if Cardiff really solidify top eight or outside of top eight at that point,
yeah.
you'd wonder, you'd hope, but
I would even say that 15-16 Ulster away, Benetton away, in between the Euro quarterfinal and semi-final. That's quite an interesting sort of run because you presume that Ulster might be in the Challenge Cup by then. Not sure. Benetton will not probably go as far as you in Europe. That's sort of like an interesting sort of bite in that
Because
block
you would
four.
expect Leinster will have two major games either side of those, like
Yeah,
Toulouse, Northampton on the far side, probably,
but
and still a
it's
tricky
like
quarter final.
it's still that stupid depth that Leinster have would be the issue because we can have a first team and it's full of Lions, but your second team has a double Springbok winning World Cup player, a
Oh, I miss him.
95 caps All Black centre, a French player that's played I don't know how many times for France. Like it's one of those really interesting ones, but like, can you ever catch Leinster out? And it's like it's like those sort of like interesting stopgaps that Leinster away, Bennett in a way. The fact that you play Connacht just before the European games in that block two, and just after in block three. It's one of those that like it's those interesting little bit, but it's in reality, yous are gonna win more than yous are gonna lose.
Is La Rochelle in round three in the Viva, or is that away in the Marcel de Flandre?
I think it's a. Yeah, I'll have to double check that.
Because if that's away, that's a very tough 7, 8, 9 Europe. Three interpros. I know there's a little gap, but
And no, actually, La Rochelle is that's a home game this season.
okay, like
Yeah.
yeah,
So
that
we're
okay,
away
that
to
gets rid of
Bayonne and
that.
away to Bayonne and away to Leicester in Europe.
Okay, so that's four wins realistically.
It
Should
is,
be.
yeah.
Should be. La
And
Rochelle have recruited well. They've got Legorek in there now too. So you never know. It could be a tricky
they have
game.
it'll be the stickiest one, but in the Viva you'd kind of imagine. And again, I'm sorry
Yeah.
for anyone listening to this in the other three provinces who thought we might have a separate opinion,
Yeah.
but it is very difficult to be like
S-
maybe in
s-
Thomond Park, maybe in Ravenhill.
Yeah.
sometimes you just have to hold your hand up and go, there's gonna be a point in this block or in these rounds where we'd have a disagreement on something because Leinster have done something stupidly well. And
Or like,
we're gonna
and
say something like
ideally we're coming
Casper's
on
gonna
like ideally next
like,
Tuesday we're coming on saying weren't the Stormers great?
Yeah.
But
Well, like it'll be
Newport were
really.
also great, but
It'll be really interesting to see how it goes because of how poorly that preseason game went for Leinster. And I went out to it. It was in Tal Stadium, reasonably well supported for a preseason fixture out there. But it's just we just didn't look like much. Like Cardiff were good for that win. They were good, and they were good for the 5 tries they scored. Leinster's defense was very poor, and then they didn't really show a whole lot in attack. Like the two tries weren't exactly because of attacking masterclasses. Like I said, they were quite. It was a heavily rotated team, and we did the same thing. Although not officially, we did the same thing as I think Munster did in theirs, where we had two 15s for each of the halves. So it's a bit more of a training run than a game. But at the end of the day, um, first match
it,
out down in Cape Town,
it's a very
it's
tough place to go
it is
after
a
a
tough place to go.
disappointing
And then to
preseason.
follow that up with Pretoria at altitude, always a tough place to go. And if there's teams that have the kind of depth that Leinster do, even if it's players people up here might not know as well, it is South Africa. Like the Bulls do have strength and depth, even if they're not players that people are as familiar with. So I just think it'll come earlier in the season. So maybe Leinster will look lower for start and just build up later, which is probably easier to do psychologically. But those three opening fixtures, four opening fixtures, like it could be really rocky. Like that could be a really rough start, depending on how the first couple go and how much pressure Leinster start to feel under. And I think it'd be really telling if in the Sharks game you saw a lion, be dragged back in already, um, because I think that would show that they were feeling the pressure, even if over the course of the season you expect them to balance it back out.
Like the
So
foundation of Leinster seasons has nearly always in the URC been get the job done before Europe.
yeah.
yeah,
Like have that gap over Bull Sharks,
yeah,
Glasgow and Munster,
Yeah.
whoever it may be.
yeah.
There is a slight risk that doesn't happen this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Like
could. And like that, then those games, Ulster and away, Benetton away in 15, 16, between a potential Euro quarterfinal, Euro semi-final, like that could be a very interesting situation there where they need obviously a semi-final win, but that we may even need points in the URC or feel the pressure to want to have points. I don't think there's a situation where Leinster will be in realistic danger of falling out of the top eight, but
No.
even from a pocketbook point of view, having a home quarterfinal, having a home semi-final,
Yeah.
those are big prizes. And there's the kind of thing that Leinster have probably come to expect and would feel it in the in the quite sizable wallet if they went missing.
I think
David.
that's the way the league has gone, though, isn't it? It's so tight now. Where that game before the European semi-final was where you lost against us in Smithly,
Yeah,
yeah, because you sent team 2.5 from Scarlets were, well, okay, we need something to keep us in the top eight. The
yeah,
reality was that I think even round 14, round 15, there was still down to like 12 or 13 that could make the top eight.
yeah.
So everybody's got something to play for. So there isn't a game where you, unless Benetton are completely out of it by then, there's a strong chance they're going to be playing for something, and your boys are going to be okay. How much do we rotate now? How much do
Yeah.
we spin this coin? Um, and
And it's
that's
almost
pretty
more
much it.
dangerous for yeah, and it's almost more dangerous for Leinster the higher up they are because if they feel more secure and Benetton do need it more, then that's the perfect recipe for a turnover there. And then depending on how that European semi-final goes, didn't go our way last year. Then you've got two fixtures, which last season Leinster were able to use to shake off the cobwebs. But like, if anyone remembers those two games, they was poor. Like the Leinster got the win,
Yeah.
but it was they were really poor performances. And if you were under pressure and needed those points, that could be a really dodgy way to end the season.
David, would you rather a fifth star or would you rather a league win? That's like if it came down to that really
Fifth
tight
star.
margin. Fifth
Fifth
star,
star,
yeah,
particularly after winning it last season. I think
yeah,
the URC is something worth winning, but having now won it last season, and now I think if it gone the other way and we'd won Europe last year and not won the URC, maybe we'd go the other way. But I think even at an institutional level, Leinster just value Europe, and even
yeah,
though it is a bit of a shadow of what it used to be, at the top end, if you got Toulouse and Bordeaux and Northampton and often Saracens as well, like up there whatever about the structure of the competition, the best team usually, the team that wins the Champions Cup is usually a team that I think most other clubs are happy to look at the end of the season and go, yeah, they were the best team in Europe this season.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
however, the structure of how we get there, or whether or not it's entertaining, or whether or not, a team winning one match, getting through to knockouts, having that many knockouts is the right way to go. At the end of the day, the cream rises, and I think it's a big source of frustration for Leinster that for 8 seasons now, it hasn't been them, despite getting agonizingly close.
So, one last question on your fixture list. Okay, so you get to pick one of those games that you're absolutely definitely going to come away with a bonus point, and you get to pick one of them which you're most likely to lose. So, I mean, you could pretty much walk away any of the bonus point. Ignore the bonus point one. That's one that I saved for the Welsh ones. Ignore the bonus point. We'll just assume pick two games on there that you think may well be banana skins. The two games that are most likely to be banana skins.
I don't know if you got a banana skin if you can see it coming, but La Rochelle, even at home in Europe, has to be one just because of the history between the two teams. And I'm gonna say, um, I get home is always tough, but I'm gonna say Ulster away in the round of 15
Yes,
because
come on.
it could
Stand up
be
for
a
the Ulster
quite
man. Come on.
depending on how
It's like
how the quarterfinal goes, assuming Leinster get to a quarterfinal, it could be an injured Leinster coming out of that. It could be a disheartened Leinster coming out of that, or it could be a Leinster with an eye to the future. Oh, Adam had it ready for us to go there. It could be a Leinster with an eye to a future there, and that could be a game where they're either resting people, or there's a bunch of injuries, or their minds are very much fixed on the semi final, which is the new final now that we lost it last season. So I think that's one where Leinster could step up, and if Ulster are in a position where they're like either looking for top eight or looking for top four, then they could be very much on it at that stage.
We shall put a pin in that one then for Ulster in round 15. And if they lose, it's your fault because you're the one that picked it, David. And I shall be reminding everyone about that, my friend.
You won't be the only one.
Okay. um, Adam, Jersey chat.
Yes.
Explain what Caolan means by that to me, my friend.
Um, sorry, my Zoom says I'm speaking French for some reason. Sorry. Yes. Anyway, Jersey chat. So, David, can you just get up the home and the away
Yeah,
jersey really
working on it.
quickly, and
Working on it
also the
now.
Champions Cup one as well?
The Champions Cup
Um,
one is
r-
stunning.
it's really nice.
I love it.
But time to go on to the two that I'm not so keen on. The home jersey. I was speaking on the United Rugby Championship the other day, about the home jersey, and I think it's very um I just don't really understand the lightning bolts. It's very like nice. Like the sponsor fits in well with the kit. Like what's one thing that I've repeated over the podcasts. It had sponsor sort of has to fit well with the kit, and the Bank of Ireland does because it doesn't need a particular color with it. The sort of lightning bolts really confuse me. I'm not sure if is that Leinster Lightning, David. Uh,
I'm not sure. The fact that it's, I think, also on the kit of another club that Castor also makes rugby jerseys for makes me
oh
think
really?
they did the design once and then just changed the colors. But there was a season
Yeah.
a few years ago where we did have lightning because I remember Robbie Henshaw doing a Thor impression in the advertising. But I'm not sure if that's like a historical thing we've got going on.
It
Yeah.
not is
So
it
the
not
light.
meant to be like rivers or something like
I
that?
think they were
Look
meant to be
like
like roots as well. I think that's an
yeah.
element, but they do come out looking like lightning.
Lightning,
I think
yeah.
it's the
And
lightning
then
is because it's yellow, but I don't know if that's actually what it's supposed to be.
I do like the yellow trimming on the set, like the what you call it, the sleeves as well, and the sort of collar on it. I'm not like as big a fan of Castor as I am like Adidas, for example. And Ulster having Castor as well, it just doesn't like I just think the kit designs have been a bit weird. Can we go on to the away jersey as well? Like the away
Please, must
jersey,
we?
the away jersey, it looks like like it's sort of the yellow dripping down from the top up. Like it looks like either somebody splashed paint on them or they've all weed themselves. That's what my first impression was. I was just sort of like, oh no,
I love
yellow
it
yellow
so
shorts.
much. It's just
Do you like
there
it?
was there was no
Do
God, no, I love it for the meme. Um
you-
there
Ben
there
loves
was
it
a
because he's a
story.
Munster supporter. That's why Ben loves it.
It's just it's in your wildest dreams. You could not dream of Leinster wearing this.
If we'd at least change the shorts to be blue, like I've seen someone do
Yeah.
that image, it looks a lot
yeah,
better, but just the
it,
yellow all the way down is not a good look.
Think it's
it
the
just
yellow
like think,
shorts that makes it a bit
Yeah.
weird. I say if it was even if it was blue and yellow shorts,
Yeah.
it would kind of break it up, but it does just look like they've jumped in a
It's the
vat of
yellow going from the
custard.
navel down. It's just choices were made by Castor.
there's gonna be like a Leinster fan on Christmas Day, and they're gonna get a full kit, and it's gonna be this. That's the thing. Like it's oh, yellow shorts, great. Um and David, you're not going to be appreciated of it for the
Oh.
Christmas podcast when it's going to be a Leinster shorts I'm going to buy you. But can we go on to the European kit, which is probably like
Yeah, so I
just
think this
it
is
is really
Conversely,
nice.
then the European kid is a thing of beauty. Like it is.
The
right.
European kit is where
This is the
where they
one.
really
No, no, where to go? Sorry.
it's all good.
I
The Leinster European jersey, it was just like I saw it and I was just like, yeah, that's Leinster. It's Leinster to a T. It almost is like, yeah, this one
Yeah.
here. It's really nice. It's really nice. It almost should be like your home kit, but I Leinster always sort of go with the darker blue for Europe. Um, it's sort of like that statement piece. A kid's replica being €80. Sorry, I, I'm, because store prices are wild. But yeah, I think this is the best out of the bunch, and I would say like the home kit would be like a 5 out of 10. The away kit would be like a 2 out of 10, but this is like a solid 8 in my opinion. Sort of like that. The waves, you can imagine that's the waves of the Liffey. as the D4 parents fork out €80 for a kid's replica jersey.
Way too blue to be the Liffey, but yeah, we'll take it.
Oh yeah. Like a little like trolley in the middle that it would just work. Do you know what I mean? I say that about the Mersey as well. I live on Merseyside, so I love making river jokes like that. Anyway, like the yellow trim also works well as well. It's sort of like that statement. I think when you have a European kit, you have to make sort of like a statement. French kits normally make a statement. This is a statement from Leinster, and if they're chasing a fifth star, you have to do it in style, really. And that's going to be the best thing I say about Leinster this season. So it's some recording.
It's genuinely excellent. It really is. You can't. It's exactly what you want Leinster kit to be. Every single piece of it is what a good Leinster jersey should be. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but the stars are back. The crest looks odd without the stars on it. We're so used to it.
It
It's nice to see
it
them back.
almost it yeah, the stars being back as well. That's another thing I forgot to talk about. Like I think stars sort of make that European heritage better because when you have a European jersey, it should have the stars of the ones that you want on it. Ulster, it took them years to put on the star from '99, and I still think it's pretty cool that we have one from before I was born. But um, but yeah, it's one of those like you need your heritage. You see Toulouse with their like seven, the stupid amount of stars. They can release a kit, and it's just going to be all stars. But yeah, it is so perfectly Leinster, and that's what makes it quite nice.
I, I've got a conspiracy theory about it because to me this looks like those hypnotic waves that you get. So I think your props at the start of every at scrum, they just stand there and go ooh, ooh like this, and then as they're going down, as the ref calls engage, they go, "You will go backwards, you will go backwards," and that's what it is. I've discovered the secret of Leinster's pack.
How Andrew Porter
Uh,
convinces
uh,
people his elbow's up. He does a little dance first with his wavy jersey.
uh, or maybe it's hypnosis for Owani to be like me, Sexton. Come on, Johnny. Come on, like me.
I'm really
It
looking
was
forward
only
to the
banter. It was only banter.
the first game that he plays for Leinster. I'm really hoping that Sexton's in the crowd because that's going to be half of the camera shots. Anytime he does
It's gonna be him.
anything, they're just going to cut to Johnny. They might have a picture-in-picture situation set up. I don't know, but it's
If,
going to be
if he
quite funny.
scores, it'll be just pan to Johnny
Oh
for the
yeah.
entirety of the conversion.
It it would be Casper 10, so it would be Sam Prendergast next to him. So it'd be Sam Prendergast, Johnny Sexton, Awani scoring, and Casper slotting it in. And it'd just be cinema. It'd just be cinema.
Right. Let's move on then, gents, to now Caolan has sent me very specific instructions about the predicted 23. It didn't say what predicted and 23 for
Oh, right.
what, but just predicted 23.
Have we
Yeah.
almost done the 23?
I think he
Uh,
has his.
it's on the WhatsApp.
It is, yeah.
Is it? Should I see it?
It's protected
Skip that
RTE
bit.
sources.
Yeah,
We'd all know what a Leinster
bit,
23
yeah.
is, to be fair.
I know. I remember now. Yeah, that's what.
There.
Yeah, I skipped through that part. Yeah. So, David, you want to talk us through this then? I'm assuming this is
Yeah,
your best
this is
23, yeah?
he's misspelled Ty Furlong's name, which is an interesting choice. But the no, I think this is probably as close to it as we're going to get. If I had quibbles about it, I don't know that Jamie Osborne has quite nailed down a 12 shirt yet. Over Robbie Henshaw, I would have him in it, but he's shown enough that he's been played at 15 that you could easily have him in the 23 shirt as well. Um, it'll be it's once again it's a weird thing where this is a predicted Leinster 23, but you might see this team twice in the season outside of knockout games. So it'll be interesting to see what team actually comes out. I do think that while Ricky Ioane is likely to start the first games that he's available for, it'll be a proper fight between him and Tommy O'Brien if O'Brien keeps up the form he shows. And I would hope, as much as I love Luke McGrath, I would hope that by the end of the season, that Fitton Gunn is really pushing him for that 21 shirt because he showed a lot of promise last season, and Gibson Park and McGrath both being the age that they are, it'd be great to see him pushing a little bit more. I also don't think I would confidently put Kieran Frawley in that 22 jersey. I think he's going to be under pressure right from the start to show form, or I could see Harry Byrne slotting in there as easy. So, yeah, this is it's if everything was lined up exactly and we had one game to play, this is probably the team we'd put out. But I wouldn't expect to see many actual team sheets with this 23 in it.
Croke
I'd hope
Park
to never
again.
see it.
Yeah.
As an opposition, I'd hope to never see this as the team shit. I'd hope if you saw that, you just give up, boys. Just
I,
put some water on the pitch and say it's waterlogged. Be done with
I
it. Off you go.
when I went to see Ulster v Leinster last season, it was RG Snyman, Dan Sheehan, Tag Furlong, and Andrew Porter on the bench. And it got to a point where Sheehan scored a hat trick within half an hour. And I was just like, yeah, I expect to go to Dublin and just try. And then I just saw like Porter, Furlong, and Sheehan stripping off, and I was like, oh, do you know what? It was one of those. I was like, yeah, there we go. I think Snyman only played like 20 minutes of that game. He came on for the hat trick and he came off, and I was just like, there we go, 20 minutes of a second row. Fair
Yeah,
enough.
I'm
It's
like,
one of those. It's terrifying.
you're right, Lee. You see that team and you're just like, no, you know what? No, maybe get an LBP if lightning strikes at some point, and that'll be it.
The kit foretells a prophecy.
Well, yeah, it is right. I think what you're saying there is, yeah, this is the evidence that we've got a lot of depth, and that is a lot of depth.
There is a
Uh,
lot of depth, but I do think between obviously injuries are always a factor, and it's a factor for every team, so I can't use that as too much of a caveat. But given the fractured nature of the calendar, between Europe and URC and internationals, um, like this is an ideal Leinster team, but I don't think I think the team that actually ends up playing most of the season is going to look very different to this one.
My major worry is round four. This team will play.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
that's possible.
That like
I mean, it won't
this will
be.
be word for word a round four team, and I'll just be
No,
like, I'll come in here on a
you'll get lucky.
Tuesday.
It'll be Jimmy O'Brien said Hugo Keenan. You'll be fine.
Oh,
The,
excellent.
the annoying the really annoying thing about this team is that you can replace anyone with the Leinster Lion and it'll still be a really good team. Like
Yep.
you can put a mini rugby player in and it'll still be like
You could get
it'll still
Casper
be good.
Gabriel's like 4-year-old brother who's out in Austria to play, and they'd still probably win by 50 points.
right. Let's
Is the
let's
Irish qualified? Is the Irish qualified? Is he good? Can we have him for Ulster?
Somebody somewhere is checking, trust me. Um,
I'm checking right now. I'm emailing.
uh, so let's move on to season predictions. I'm assuming Caolan's thinking about where do you think you're all going to finish? Because I'm just trying to read Caolan's mind there.
Yeah, I think
Specifically Leinster.
yeah, but it's been a mix of predictions and I think we've covered predictions and expectations as well. So yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do that then. So
yeah. Do you guys want to go first and I'll finish it off?
Uh, I think Leinster are gonna come first. I think they're gonna win the league, and also I think they're gonna put a really good shot. Like I think at least final would be a failure for Leinster. It's sort of like that, I think last year with Northampton being that big shock, I feel like you've got a really big chip on your shoulders. As you said, David, 8 years, it's gonna, it's just how the French teams are gonna turn up this year is gonna be a big question. And if the South African teams are gonna gamble in the European Cup as well. But I still think Leinster will sort of be in that final, well, at least a semi-final, but definitely a final would be a successful charge for you.
Yeah. I'm very much head over heart here, and what I want to
Yeah.
say isn't what's going to happen. So I'm going to have to go with my head at this point. Um, the URC, Leinster going to top the league and win the URC. I don't think there's not a single iota of my being think Leinster aren't going to win the URC at a canter, unless they get a semi-final away at Loftus or in Thomond Park. Europe, on the other hand, Europe is a fun one because the Yips have started, and the Yips might just keep coming where they get to a semi-final or a final and it falls away again. You'll get a home round 16, you get a home quarter final. Depending on how La Rochelle at home goes, probably that guarantees you a home semi-final as well. I don't think you'll win Europe. I think last year was the year to win Europe, and they didn't. The win the URC, yeah, win the URC, no problem. But I'm a little bit like with Jordy Barrett, they didn't win Europe. They're not a stronger team this year. Might become a 9-10 year itch. Hopefully. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I think it's fair. Like, I don't want to sound too like I'm trying to undersell it, but I would expect Leinster to top the league in the URC. The one season 2 years ago, and Munster did it, was the first time they haven't done that in a long time, even when they weren't winning the league. So that's got to realistically be a target. Even going through the fixture chart, there's not enough losses in there to justify not doing it. So that'll be considered a minimum. The La Rochelle obviously would be the big banana skin in Europe. If that can be won, then you would hope home quarterfinal, home semi-final can be on the cards. But I'm not going to be overly bullish because like Leinster won. Obviously won the URC last season and won it fairly dominantly in that final against the Bulls. But it's a Bulls team that had knocked them out in semi-finals in the last 2 years, or sorry, 2 of the last 3 years. Munster doing it in Cork the other year. So look, knockout rugby is knockout rugby, and things can go wrong. And I think if there's other things on the mind, if there's European competing with URC, then a loss is very much on the cards. And I think there's enough good in the URC and enough good teams in there that they can be caught on the hop. So while I'd say we're favourites for it, I don't think it's a guarantee at all. And Europe, I think the one thing that you can consistently say about European rugby is that the best team wins it every year. And for the last 8 years, that hasn't been Leinster. With Toulouse still out there, with Bordeaux still out there, with Northampton, who I think should be very frustrated with how they showed up in that final, in that they didn't really as much as they probably would have liked to. Um, I just think there's at least when there's at least three teams you could name off the top of your head who would happily deserve to win it ahead of Leinster. I don't think it could be anywhere near an expectation. And I would like to think now that shorn of Johnny Sexton and Keane Healy and most of the old guard who had multiple wins under their belt before now. Leinster are now in a position where they're just a really good team. Should they be challenging for Europe every year? Yes, but should they be expecting to win it every year? I mean, after 8 years, it'd be madness to expect to win it. So, I think they'll need to be at semi-final level to be anyway justifying the amount of investment. And unfortunately, and I say this as a supporter as well as anything else, unfortunately for Leinster to be completely satisfied, they have to win the double, and that's really hard to do. So I think they probably, on balance, won't do that. But I really hope they win at least one of them because they're good enough to.
So I'm gonna chip in, but I'm gonna channel my inner Caolan. So this isn't me. This is my inner Caolan, and I'm even gonna do an Irish impression. I promised you boys I wouldn't do an Irish impression, but this is the
I've got
best.
a background. I've got a background. There we go.
There it is.
There you go.
So just remember now, this is my inner Caolan, with predictions on what Leinster's going to do this year. So hello there, now boys. Now I'm thinking you'll be lucky to make it to the top 8. If you play well, you
I never knew
might
Caolan was Jamaican. I never knew he was from Kingston.
I didn't
I thought
say
he was
it was
from
any
Galway.
good.
Like,
I said it was the
There's a
only
long
one
and
I had.
storied history of the links between Irish immigrants and Jamaican natives. So yeah, that tracks well enough.
Yeah,
It was a good
they
impression.
all
You
kind of
just you didn't mention Ballinasloe. I didn't believe it was Caolan.
Like I said, just channeling my inner Caolan. If anyone wants to make any comments, that's all Caolan. Right. Let's quickly wrap up week one. Week one of the URC actually kicks off this weekend. Who wants to go first on who's playing who? Let's do Munster first. Yeah. Let's do come on, let's do Munster's first defeat of the season. Off you go, Ben.
Yeah, I hate going over to Scarlets. We never play well when we go to Scarlets. First game of the season, new coach. It's going to be difficult. I don't think we'll get to BP. I think we will win. Munster by 5-7.
What I will say, if anyone is coming over, so obviously, if you guys won't know that I'm a Scarlet supporter. If anyone is coming over, there is a demonstration before the game about the WRU and getting rid of regions. And coincidentally, just to put this all into context, WRU announced today how well they've done financially over the last 12 months. So, yeah, well done on that. But we can't afford to fund you guys. So there's a demonstration before that. If any Munster fans are coming over, do get involved in it. Red is red. Just chuck a red shirt up in the air and shout abuse at the WRU.
I'm
That's
sure
all
anyone
we're
who is
asking.
going will 100% get behind that.
Oh, yeah,
100%.
And be very welcome until kickoff, and then obviously, and then after, same thing again.
Yeah.
So, are we all doing predictions for Munster, or which way do you guys do it? Because I'm easy. I can rock a boat whichever way you want to.
It's the first week we've done it, so it's kind of
Yeah, we can
I'll
just all like put it.
I'll roll
Yeah,
with Ben. I think Munster, but by a score.
yeah, I'd say the same.
Okay, I'm gonna, and again, channeling my inner Caolan here. That's all I'm doing. I think you're going to lose by at least 10. Completely, independent. That's just what Caolan would have wanted to say, but
those Connacht fans that can't be trusted. You know that.
He's never going to leave us unsupervised again.
Yeah. David, I mean, you got a hefty old trip down to South Africa. So, your thoughts on week one?
I genuinely priced it out. It's really expensive to fly to Cape Town, as it turns out. But yeah, I think I'll be interested when I see the team sheet to see who's actually made it into that squad. But I don't know, off the back of the preseason game to Cardiff and how unenthused that one was, I can't really be super confident. So I'm gonna say it'd be a better performance than that, but I still think Stormers have to be the favourites going into this. And I think if Leinster can come out of it with a losing bonus point, I'd be pretty happy with that.
Okay. Ben?
Stormers should win. Leinster to get 2 bonus points. Stormers to get to win.
Okay. Adam?
I think Stormers by 3. Sort of same rationale, I think, from all the other lads. I think that sort of losing bonus point is going to be key. I think picking up losing bonus points for any team in that South Africa tour is key. Any type of bonus points, any type of points, especially at the start of the season.
Stormers not being full strength is the only reason I'm like, if Leinster go big out wide, there's tries there. I think Stormers should win. But I can see Leinster getting the score and then being pegged back as opposed to anything else.
I think it's as good as this. Like, I think it's probably the best way to start a season is that South Africa tour, especially with that Leinster squad being so young. Good way to gel the squad together. I think they're going to reap the rewards at the end of the season. So I don't think, David, probably as a Leinster fan, you wouldn't mind a loss or two in that, as long as you gel together at the end of the season. As you say,
No
for those
injuries at
knockout games.
Loftus and just
Yeah.
go, okay.
Yeah, that'd be good. Although I do know there's going to be 1,000,001 screenshots of Leinster sitting at the bottom of the table, so that'll be.
I'm going to have as my background.
Oh, that you know the dragon head meme where it's the tree and the one who looks silly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll be like, look at this, Andy Farrell. Pick Nathan Doak. He can kick.
Unfortunately, there's only 3 of those dragons. It's going to be Munster, Connacht, and Leinster, and Ulster aren't even going to be on the sheet.
No. It's going to be like the, do you know, the kid in the water getting lifted? It's going to be
I
one
can just do
tiny kid
Photoshop, put
struggling
another
around.
one in the end, it'd be fine.
So, yeah, Caolan's gonna. Oh, I'm getting a sense. Caolan's going for a draw. because Caolan really doesn't fancy that much abuse on YouTube on that. So yeah, it's a tough game. Scarlets did it a couple of seasons ago. They did the first two games in South Africa, and they got absolutely pasted. And by the time we played the second game, it was you were watching the game and going, "Well, it's a lovely scenery. Look at the scenery." And every time they pan around, and that was genuinely the best part of the game. So yeah, it can be tough out there. But yeah, Caolan says it's a draw. Uh, so Adam, who have Ulster got, mate? Ulster have got
We've got
dragons, haven't you?
dragons. I
Mm.
think it's honestly a game that we should be trying to push 30 on. I don't think last season we beat enough teams by a lot of points. And I think with the Edinburgh game before, we need to make this game to be like this is the start. We fumbled it so many times last season. I think with the 11th, we need to shake off the rust. We need to put like 30 points on a team. And it's Ulster, it's on a Friday night. It's against a Newport who are going to struggle this season. I know that we might struggle as well, but we need to sort of put out that benchmark. So I'm saying Ulster by, I'd say about 25. We need to get the bonus point. We need to start big. We need to have something to look forward to.
Oh, I've got some interesting bits for you. Ben, your thoughts on Ulster
Um,
Dragons?
so I think I'm actually going to be more optimistic than Adam. Um, yeah, Ulster by 30. They looked very good in the preseason. I apologize for my dog. They looked excellent in the preseason. I really like Ulster. I tipped Ulster to get top eight and push for top four, and I'm sticking by that. Yeah, sorry, Lee. I think they will. There's After Dragons.
Okay, David.
Yeah, I think Ulster will get the win, and it'll really be marked by whether or not they can get that try bonus point. As Adam
Yeah.
said, you got to pick up those points where you can get them, and I think I think they have it in them to win this. Although I don't think the margin will be as big as Ulster would like it to be, but I do think they'll win, and I do think they should be good enough for a try bonus point.
Caolan slash
So
Lee.
yeah, well, no,
Holding
what
up a card to his head.
the Dragons have recruited really, really well, like really, really well. They've really well, part of their problem over the last couple of years is they've had player in, player out, player. They've been like churning players left, right, and centre, and it almost felt like a little bit of that this year. But there's a lot of good positivity coming out of there now. There's even though where they were, it's almost that bit you can only look upwards, but there is a lot of positivity, particularly around defence. There's been a lot of talk around defence, how much tighter it is now, how much more aggressive. They've done a lot of stuff behind closed doors. So sometimes, yeah, it takes, a couple of games to get into the swing of things, real life games. But yeah, the Dragons are due a good season. They genuinely are. So I still think it'll be an Ulster win, but I'm thinking it's going to be a lot closer than where people give credit for. And I would not be surprised to see Dragons come away with a win, only by one or two, but I wouldn't be surprised to see that at all. Or it could all fall to shit in the first 10 minutes and everyone goes, well, that was very Dragons. That was the way it is. But if they get it right, and the word is that it's starting to happen for them, then they could shock a lot of people this year on that one. So I'm going to Caolan is saying it's a very narrow Ulster win by 2 points. There you go. He's going to hate me. He's never going to let me do this ever again. Trust me.
And then it's his pick, Connacht and Treviso. Connacht and Bennett.
Yeah.
What do you know about Connacht, Lee? What do you know about Connacht?
Well, I've got a very long bit that I could straight past the two Bundyaki and Hansen. I think Connacht are just one of those. They're not peppered with superstars, but they're full of boys that do a really, really decent job. They're really solid up front, and that's the bit that scares people. And Benetton, you never really know which Benetton's going to turn up, particularly at the start of the season. They could all be out drinking wine. Who knows? So it's a home game. So I'm going to go Connacht by 2 because I think we're going to have another season of really, really close games all the way through. And home advantage will be enough to take Connacht over the line. So yeah, Caolan says Connacht by 2 on that. Ben, your thoughts?
Benetton by 5. I'm as you say, you don't know what Benetton's going to show up. You don't know what Connacht's going to show up at the start of the season. Connacht will either be the best team we've ever seen, or play really well for 10 minutes and fall apart. And you never know what Connacht it is. And especially early in the season, I am very slow to say Connacht are going to hit the ground running, simply because we've been burned so many times by Connacht looking incredible in pre-season. All the word is good, and then they go up against someone they should be beating and fall apart. And Treviso, or Benetton, I should say, if they show up, can beat any team in the URC. They won't fear going to Galway at all, especially if the weather isn't horrendous just yet. So yeah, Benetton, Connacht getting an LBP, Benetton win.
Okay, David?
I'm going to be quite bullish. I think Connacht have Lancaster in there coaching them now. He's exactly the kind of coach that a team like Connacht need, because he'll have them playing very nice rugby. They like playing nice rugby, and he'll hopefully beat out a lot of the inconsistencies that they can find themselves lapsing into at about 50 or 60 minutes into a game. So I want the season to go very positively for Connacht, and I'm going to be really optimistic about it. And I'm going to say that they're going to come out playing all singing, all dancing rugby, and the only thing they'll be missing is Mac Hansen and Buddy Eki, and Finlay Bealham. So, and I think they have it in them to start better than Benetton as well, particularly on the road. So I'm going to say Connacht, and I'm going to say they're going to get a bonus point, and it's not just going to be 4 tries either.
Cool. Okay, Adam?
Yeah, I'm gonna use that sort of like lingo that I spoke about Ulster with. They need a statement from this Lancaster era. They need to make a statement. They need to make a start. Whether that be the five more tries that David sort of predicted there, or whether it be like a Slims type game, but like a very well paced. You can see what's actually happening for Connacht. As Ben said, the Connacht of old were very much so that they can be really good, really hot for like 60 minutes and then fall on the last hurdle, or they can be crap for 10 minutes and then just automatically sort of click. There's no in between with Connacht, but Stuart Lancaster needs to bring that consistency in through forward. So I think I am going to say Connacht by a bonus point, and I think it's going to be bang on 4 tries. And I think their defense has to be well as well. So, I'd say by 4, by about 10-ish points, I reckon.
Okay. Right. Well, that kind of brings us to the end of this evening, gents. So yeah, thank you very much for looking after me. It's been a pleasure. It's been nice to talk about proper rugby again. As I come from Welsh Rugby Podcast, boys, and that's like a 2-minute bit at the end. So it's been nice to talk rugby with you guys tonight. Absolute pleasure. If you're listening and watching and liking what you're hearing and seeing, please, Caolan has said, smash the like button. Now, that's not something you'll ever hear me say out there. Please gently press like or gently press subscribe. It makes no difference if you smash it or press it. It does the same thing. But give us a like or subscribe. Doesn't cost anything. Exactly. And you get to hear all sorts of exciting stuff all through the week. Yeah, do give us a like and a subscribe. It will be much appreciated, and you get to hear all of our other stuff, the URC podcast, the South African podcast, and a few others as well. The women's podcast, women's final coming this week as well. So there's loads of other stuff on the channel that you will get told about. So on that note, gents, next week reviewing round 1. Probably a bit more sensible predictions from Caolan next week, but it's been a pleasure spending this evening with you. And I love you and leave you. Thank you very much. All the best. Good night, Jansen.
Cheers, Luke.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening to the Interpro Show. We'll be back with more of the same next week. And if you've got time, give us a like and a rate on social media and a subscribe on YouTube. All the best.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.